the And Insurance podcast. We might not even talk about insurance at all.
Hopefully not.
We've talked many times off the air and in business, and I've helped you and your business, you and Kelly, out quite a bit, and I appreciate that opportunity. I'm like, what the hell? You know, I haven't interviewed James on this format. We've sat down with Andrew in the back in the black box, and we did Totally Local there, which was a blast, right? It was me, you, and Andrew the first time.
Yeah, and like the thick of the pandemic, I think at that point too, we're just past like the portion where I think it was like April or May where people were like, okay, you can like do some things now.
Some people were like, you can do some things. Other people were still weird. You know, it's been bad, but I remember that. Shout out to Andrew from OK7, Totally Local podcast, Tasty Nuggets, which they shoot here.
Yeah, we've been off for a while, but we need to get back to it, Andrew.
And Andrew took out the purple brick wall, like the rainbow brick wall came back on Andrew's Facebook the other day.
Yeah.
You know, I did a shout out to the famous rainbow brick wall. I used to watch some of his late night shows. He did a late night thing. And during the pandemic, I would like cast him onto the TV and like was watch him because they're like at 11 o'clock at night. And he's talking to just somebody stoned out of their heads about random crypto stuff.
Crypto.
And conspiracy theories.
He's the crypto king. Right now, I'm dying on crypto.
I haven't checked my Coinbase accounts or my wallet in God knows how long. I don't want to know.
Don't.
Right? There was never a whole heck of a lot in there, but
don't do it.
I'm just
living by the theme of just hold on to it. It's not going to go anywhere. It may like refine down to smaller or just a smaller inventory, bigger coins, you know. But for now, I'm just going to hold on. I don't want to miss the bus. I missed the bus on the iPod when we were in high school. You know what I mean? I missed the bus on the iPhone. You know, FOMO is for real, man.
You know, I'm not an iPhone user. Never have, and I'm not saying that I ever will. My kids might push me in that direction because they're going to want to be with their friends with the iPhones. Like, but we all use Samsung devices in our home. We're all Android environment in home and on their tablets. We call them iPads. Right, but they're not actually iPads.
Same thing.
At some point, the children will be like, you know, oh, you're not using an actual iPad. It's fake. You know,
the Apple stuff is great for like intercommunication amongst devices.
Right.
You know, and you may have a flawless workflow because most of your devices in your house are Samsung.
Yep.
You know, as for like dumbing it down, making it easier to use, make it easier to communicate with other devices, Apple's where it's at. I think Apple's where it's at with telecommunications. Like,
okay,
so
that's interesting.
I'm
seamless in home and work because we're Google environment at work. So we're GChat, we're Google Drive. At home, we're like our automation is all Google Assistant, right? In the house for lights, for televisions, for thermostats, everything, and door locks are now also in the Google environment. And I added a second security environment, which is an alarm.com, which is on a separate network, which Tom Bull, when he was on the podcast, we talked about that too. So James Eustace, Rec Productions, This Is It Entertainment, right? You've been a DJ for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
And you were absolutely crushing it pre-pandemic. Oh, we got to have a pre-pandemic conversation.
That's okay.
All right, you're used to it.
We can lightly surface touch it. That's okay. Because it is like the silver lining of the birth of.
It's important because that's why we're sitting here in this room in Tinton Falls, New Jersey, Red Bank, New Jersey, because you set this cool studio space up with the black box. And I think I want to use the black box for my talking head stuff. So I think, Abby, we're going to talk to James for the next time we schedule, and we're going to knock out a whole bunch back there because I think it's going to be cooler with the lighting for some of my the website introduction stuff.
Let's do it. And you think about it, it doesn't just have to be that lighting too. Like we could do a huge green screen back there, and you could make it a white cyc wall or whatever. Like possibilities are kind of endless.
Yeah, let's do some cool stuff. We need to do some website guest related videos for different types of pages. And obviously we're not going to shoot them at home. We're going to shoot them here at Rec Productions. All right, so go through the 90-second.
Well, thanks for having me.
You were rocking it, and then you were told to stop.
So I started This Is It back in 2009. Although I had been in the industry prior to that, working for other companies. It took a while to build that business. You know, it's a watered down market. There's a lot of people. The entry barrier monetarily has changed over the years. It's a lot more accessible. We made a name in that particular industry, built our network, built relationships with venues, built a crew of teams that could go out. We're a multi-op, so we have 4 working teams that can go out and do an event on any given day. You know, so it took a time to get there. And it was what we thought was a secure industry in a sense, right? Because to us, and I hate to make this analogy, but we cater specifically to doing not only entertainment for private events and weddings, but we do lighting production also, both for weddings and corporate events. So to us, events, again, bad analogy.
Not going anywhere.
Right. They always happen. Even if people can't afford them,
right,
they still have them, right? So there was like a sense of security there. So as everybody knows, I'm sure everybody has their own kind of like root story of when COVID hit and how it affected them. But, my wife and I, we do this full time for a living. Like, this is how we pay our bills. This is, how we have a family. This is how we survive. So when March came of 2019 and they were like, we're done. Like, nobody's going anywhere. There's this, we're shutting everything down. At first we were devastated, but we were like, this can't last that long. Like, it's not going to be detrimental. Well, March for us is where we come out of a booking season for acquiring new clients, and then we go into the actual performance portion of the year. So March through November is like out in the field. So we're getting ready now, coming out of holidays. We came out of a booking season, but there's like a little lull to go back out and do events. Like, that's how we earn our income. So, our receivables come in as we execute events. They're like, you're done. Like, we're not opening anything. So the first week or two went by, and we were flabbergasted by it. We're like, what are we gonna do? Month when shit really hit the fan, we're like, dude, like, this is no joke. Like, how are we paying our mortgage? How are we paying our car payment? Like, we have no money. Like, not only are we now not going out and doing events and getting that AR that was owed to us in previous contracts, but we're not making any new sales because people don't know how long this is going to last for. They don't know what's going to happen. So about a year before that, Kelly and I had sat down and talked about this idea about Wrecked Productions. We had a very surface level idea of what we knew we wanted to be involved in digital media. And we were trying to think of how do we tailor our skills that we have already to make this transition. But we kind of pushed it to the back burner because we were so busy with This Is It that we didn't really have time to like flush out a business plan, kind of like come up with how we're going to do everything, processes. And then when COVID hit, that obviously opened up that window for us to say, okay, look, like, we need to make a pivot. Like, we don't need to abandon what we're doing, but we need to make a pivot. We need to make a pivot for two reasons. One, obviously, this live events industry isn't as secure as we had always thought it is when everything just got ripped away from us. And number two, not to give away my age, but I'm getting a little bit older.
Same age as me. What the fuck? I
know. We're getting a little bit older. I hate to break the news to you. So in that respect, man, like, I love going out and doing events. It's almost like kind of like the gym for me. Like, they're tough to get to at this point in my life, but when I'm there, I fully enjoy myself. But I needed to also figure out a way to rely more on the teams, less on myself, and have something for me to do as I've gotten older. Like, I feel like you have a shelf life in the entertainment business, right? Sure. Your face changes, your body changes. People want to see younger, attractive people out there. So Wrecked came about, right? And instead of doing what everybody else did, which was essentially get rid of their brick and mortar, move their business into maybe their home, operate out of that, we jumped off a cliff and we said, we're going to expand our footprint. We're going to move to a bigger place, more square footage, higher overhead for us. And not only are we going to do that, we're going to build it out too on top of it. So we did like a tester where in our other space, we had local artists. We called it the community series. We did it joint with another person. We had local artists come in. We gave them a free session where we would do a live stream of their performances, and we provide all of the lighting, all of the audio, everything that they need. They just need to show up and do these things. And it was a way for us to help artists during a time where you couldn't go out and perform, still be relevant in the market. And that was our viability test to say, like, is there a market for this? Like, how do we pursue this? So we move over here. We built out the black box, which is a silent stage, which means that it's semi-soundproof. So we built that with the concept of it being a flex space, but we would also be able to take all of the staff that, aside from the entertainers like Chris, the lighting guys, Neil, everybody, and be able to take our expertise and make it relevant in this new market, because digital media is only going to grow. It's not going to go away.
Sure.
right? So we have all the equipment, audio, visual, lighting. Like, it was a no-brainer. So we built out the space, both in the back and then where we are here today in the front. We call it Studio B, which we do stuff like this for amazing people like yourself and other companies. And
he called me amazing. That's so nice.
it's only because
Wish my wife was listening.
A client here for a while. And I mean that's the summary of the story, man. I mean, that's how Rect was incepted. That's how we've gotten to this point right now.
But I got a question.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm looking down over here.
Okay.
And there's headphones. Why do I always see these podcast guys wearing headphones? I never wear headphones in here.
You don't have to. I think it fits.
What's the point? Does it like the motif? Like it's part of the decor? I gotta wear headphones to be in the know.
It is. It would be helpful if you were doing like a satellite caller or somebody like a loop in on a Skype or
I get.
Or that little board over there. You can load in sound effects and stuff like that. So like if you were doing a show and you wanted to do those things, you would only be able to hear them into like a Howard Stern has.
You start playing with sound effects.
Yeah, but this is
where's my horns?
You don't even. They're in there. There's claps in there. There's some pretty graphic stuff in that one. Actually, I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm gonna start pushing buttons. Yeah. What's the pink button do?
We had a sports podcast in here for a while, and they had some pretty lit sound effects on the board.
What are we're gonna put a sound effect for "You're insured."
You could
Accidents happen.
You could totally do that.
Oh my God, it sounds terrible. It sounds god awful for what I do. But hey, you never know. Like, did you have an auto accident?
And if you tune into Aaron's show all the time, which is very serious, this is not going to be a serious show, by the way. I can't do it.
I mean,
that's why they keep me behind the cameras.
So it's good to not have a serious show and talking, but we're still talking business, right? Yeah. We're still talking about creating opportunities. And anytime I bring a guest in here, and I think we've done 37 episodes of the And Insurance podcast, and we've done them all here. I think maybe there was one or two Skype ones or Zoom ones. Yeah. I have another guy in New York that I invited down, but only kind of wants to do Zoom. So I'll do that with him. And I'll probably go longer with him because I was a guest on his podcast, Eric Sarver, The Employment Law Today. And we talked for an hour, and we had so much more to talk about. So I'm like, it's good. This is going to be the part B. You'll be my guest. I get to ask you the questions, and we'll take it to a whole nother level to help businesses out with everything employee-employer related relationships and how the law ties into it. It's crazy shit out there.
Super helpful information. I've learned a lot just sitting in the control booth over those 37 episodes and listening to everything that's been out. It's great exposure for me, to hear from stuff like relevant to workman's comp and all these different insurance.
You've gotten all the free advice, but then you hire the consultants that I work with also, which is really awesome too.
Yeah.
You're like, Aaron knows the best people for payroll, for benefits, for whatever else we're doing.
Those are facts.
So like the network that we can create through this medium is also phenomenal. Like I love the people that I interview are mostly clients or their friends, or it's a local nonprofit that I've donated to, that's the series I've been loving the most, is the nonprofit pieces right now that I've been doing, because like I really enjoy it. And like to me, that's part of giving back to the community, is bringing them in here, letting them share their story, because unless it's like a nonprofit specific podcast, they're not getting that story out in other mediums, and they're not necessarily being invited onto a lot of different shows. So I get to bring a little bit of that in here, and it's part of my give back on top of the other donations of my time. And
great.
Else.
Network or no work, they say, right? Network or no work.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
And doing stuff like this, giving them this opportunity, and it's so funny how like our worlds collide in this respect. It's like the Swiss Army knife of media, because they can come in here on your show, take a half-hour show, right? And you have somebody like Abby who does the marketing for you, or John for us. You could take that half-hour show and you can bust that into 10 30-second clips, that you can be putting out on all of your social platforms.
Abby, you got that? You got that piece, Abby? You got that?
And not only just
gave her more work.
Sorry, Ab. I mean, think about it. It not only gives you media to put in front of people, which that's what people are consuming, right? If it's a choice between hour and 30-minute movie on Netflix, or maybe just taking 45 minutes to scroll through TikTok because it's like the videos change so quick, and then you can have so much stuff, you're not ready for that commitment. So people are ingesting it at mass amounts, right? So if you can take that media, it not only increases your presence, but it helps establish yourself as an expert in your field, right? And that's what makes people, once you're an expert and they can form a personal bond with you or with your business, they're going to perpetuate your business. They're going to give you their business,
Right.
and they're also going to pass that along to other people, which is something that we share in our working relationship, right? We started with insurance with This Is It. Aside from being in high school together, we started with insurance for This Is It. We do insurance for Wrecked. You know, we also, again, like you said, we tied in networks. You know, your people do our payroll and our benefits. So like, it's huge to be able to, and that's just through a podcast or a, you know, a media platform.
Which is also, you know, a big piece of me shooting here is the relationship, and I get to show up, I hang out a little bit, and I get to leave, right? We don't have to do much else, and we have the best equipment in the best sounding space, right? Once in a while, we've shot something in the office and it's echoey, there's background noise, you know, like that's why we come in here. We're going to do it right. We're going to hire the right people to help us succeed. And that's something I think I've said on every single podcast episode is hiring the right people, working with the right people, the experts to take care of what needs to be taken care of. And James and Rec Productions is where we need to be to get our message out and shoot our podcasts and anything else that we're doing. We were just talking early on about some additional video work that I want to do for website and some funnels and some onboarding that we're going to create at LG Insurance. We just brought in a new CRM. We're going to create some new automations, but we're going to shoot some video. And can I do it in the office? Yeah. And will we do some of it in the office? Absolutely. We're going to do some in the office. But if we can come here, get in the black box studio and do some really cool backgrounds and have some really great audio and good lighting on me, right? We're showing up as professionals and subject matter experts in what we're doing and what we're talking about, that our first impression is just that. Now, getting into video, just pick up your phone and do it, right? If you're not creating anything yet, just do it because something is better than nothing always, right? And there's plenty of times where I'll pick up the microphone and we'll shoot something and I'll fumble, and I don't care. I love my words to fumble because it's natural.
It's real.
Right? It's real. I don't want everything to be edited. Everyone's like, "Oh, how's the editing on the pod?" I'm like, "No, we don't edit." I'm like, we go from A to B and we air the whole thing unless there's something major that goes on. We're sending the whole thing out because it's natural, and we want to be able to pull those clips if we're going to pull clips for different share. But I just want to be here, and if I forget what I'm talking about, that's fine. It's all natural conversation.
You gotta, like you said, you start from somewhere. You gotta look at it as like a sport, a baseball player, right? Baseball players, they go to baseball practice, right? They practice their craft. You know, it takes a long time to be acclimated to be in front of a camera or speak on a microphone, or you know, or not be afraid of that. You know, what are people gonna judge for you? But start there, you know, and then when you're ready for a turnkey solution, you know, you can come see us. Dude, that's what we offer you.
We should do that. We should set up a seminar. I hate the word seminar. A workshop, a networking, an event with the bar open where we invite people to test their own abilities on the microphone for their own 30-second commercial. Right? Come in direct, create your own 30-second commercial, and, you know, shoot 4 or 5 different takes of it. We'll film it, have a cocktail, watch everybody else doing it at the same time. Yep. So you're going to refine your elevator pitch. We're going to get you in the studio. You're going to have something to share on social media. That would be kind of fun.
We'll do it. You know, we did something kind of like that, but a little bit different. We did an open studio night here, like maybe 8 or 10 weeks ago.
Right.
We invited 10 artists we put it out there. We invited 10 artists to be able to come in here and perform. Okay. Awesome. We didn't charge them anything. All we gave them was a $20 reservation fee when they actually registered for the event itself, just so that they would show up, because the roster was so limited. Right. Then we refunded their deposit once they showed up. And the whole premise of it, you know, from us too, it was a double win, because it brings brand awareness and people that don't realize that we're here. So we got these artists to come in. We said we could each bring 5 guests each. Okay. You come in, you get, I think we did not a 10-minute performance. Okay. So you can essentially get 3 songs in. We're going to do all the lighting. We're going to do all the audio for you. We're going to give you a playback in the studio. We're going to film it with one single camera. We're going to give you that footage. You just come in here and do that. And Then we dumped off all the footage to them. They didn't pay anything out of pocket. And, you know, for them, they got the opportunity to be in front of other local artists, get that support system. Also, walk around the studio, feel it, get a vibe for it, see what our capacity, our capabilities, are. And it just builds more business for us. So, you know, I'm never going to say no, like, let's pick like a open studio night for what you're doing.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, of course I have to make sure there's a bar in here and have it catered. We have one. But, I mean, I think that'd be a hell of a lot of fun if we can get, a couple hours. You know, 10 or 15, 20 professionals to come in and be able to record.
Let us know. We're going to do it.
Abby's got notes.
She put a note in.
We're gonna work on that. Okay. We're gonna coordinate some dates with Kelly, and we're gonna create an open studio night sponsored by LG Insurance.
I like it.
And we're going to have some fun. We're going to get some professionals in here to record some solo video, or we wind up having conversations in a roundtable type setup. I mean, we'll come, and the sky's the limit, right?
It's cool. You never know what can come out of it. It's interesting because we're a studio and we're here. We're in Tinton Falls, right? Like Custer Red Bank, we're in Tinton Falls, Monmouth County. How do you compete with Manhattan?
Right.
You know, like, but not everybody wants to go to Manhattan, man. And there is a ton of not only artists, but I mean, not even just at like a local level, but like esteemed artists that live in this area.
Right.
There's a lot of corporate executives that live in this area. Sure, their main office may be in the city, or even professors, but they don't want to have to go there to do what their content is. You know, like if you have a local based studio that's like a Swiss Army knife and can do, like, and you live in, for example, we did a professor that lived in your town on the beach, you know, works for NYU,
right?
But they came into green screen work here because he lives. What is it? 11 minutes for you to get here from your house.
Sure. We'll get there. I mean, listen, that's why conversations are great because you never know what's going to come out of them. I'm just proud of what you've been able to create.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be able to be here. Right? Yeah, we do James's insurance work. Right? We want to make sure that obviously they have their liability. There's some media liability tied in there, workers' compensation, and everything that goes into it, right? We want to be able to help small businesses grow to be medium-sized businesses, and just make sure that, one, we got to get the basics covered, and we can do it in an automated way sometimes, right? We have the technology just like anybody else does in those big box, you know, insurance markets. We can make sure things get done, but at the same time, you have accessibility to me and my team of experts that are going to be able to answer the phone and be able to help out and be there when questions arise. And it becomes the same team over and over again when things go wrong or when things go right, to make sure that we have everything set up for your business and for your personal insurance. So it's great to have these relationships, and I thrive on community and community relationships. And that's how my business has been able to continue to grow and develop over the years. And I learn every time I'm in here, I'm learning more about somebody else's business. Whenever I'm interviewing a lawyer, I'm getting free legal advice. I'm like,
which is
this
$500 bucks minimum an hour, or for just even to pick up the phone.
I'm like, every time I have a legal question, I'm like, hey, do you want to be on the podcast? It works.
And it's good too. Like you said, you know, I can vouch for what you're saying. Like, we've literally run into scenarios that we've had to call you up and be like, hey man, like, what do we do about this? Like, or even just like the personalized version of it, right? So let's take out just calling you up for advice. We have workman's comp here. Every year we have to have an audit.
Every year we have the audit, right? For
workman's comp. And, you know, to give you gravity of what he's saying to you, so we got our audit back this year, and our cost was significantly more. So Kelly and I looked at it and we're like, so much more. But Aaron proactively was on it and said, hey man, like, I saw your audit. It seems a little high. Let me make some phone calls and see what's going on with this. You know, so I'm just like kind of like short story trying to attest to what you're saying about.
Yeah, and listen, I know your business, so I know how the audit should look. Right, I don't know everybody's business as intimately as I know your business because I'm here on a regular basis, and we've worked together for so long. But in a lot of cases, I can be like, "There's a quick fix for some of this," and we just want to make sure we get it corrected before anything goes awry. And so we're in the middle of working on that for you, and I don't anticipate anything but the correct outcome.
Hopefully.
Kelly, don't write that check.
Yeah.
Good for right now. We'll figure it out. So listen, James Eustace, always great to get you behind the microphone instead of in the control room. I'm looking forward to what's next.
Yeah. Open studio night.
Cool. I can't wait.